to the war in Iran, and in the last few minutes, Donald Trump has claimed the US pulled the trigger on war because he felt, those are his words, he felt he was dealing with lunatics who would attack first if he didn't. Despite what we heard from Marco Rubio yesterday, Trump has also moved to deny the US was dragged into the war by Israel. According to Trump, the US could have forced Israel's hand.
We were having negotiations with these lunatics, and it was my opinion that they were going to attack first. They were going to attack. If we didn't do it, they were going to attack first. I felt strongly about that. And we have great negotiators, great people, people that do this very successfully and have done it all their lives very successful. And based on the way the negotiation was going, I think they were going to attack first. And I didn't want that to happen. So if anything, I might have forced Israel's hand.
Now, the interesting word there is my opinion. It is his opinion that they were going to attack first. Whether you can prove that to the UN, or not that he would necessarily care, but whether you can prove that is a very different thing. Meanwhile, he's taken another swipe at poor old Starmer in the UK for not getting involved in the offensive action and also delaying the use, blocking the use of the US from the Diego Garcia military base.
I'm not happy with the UK either. That island that you read about, the lease, okay, he made it for whatever reason, he made a lease of the island. Somebody came and took it away from him. And it's taken 3-4 days for us to work out where we can land there. It would have been much more convenient landing there as opposed to flying many extra hours. So we are very surprised. This is not Winston Churchill that we're dealing with.
Right, 9 minutes after 7 now. The Brits have also overnight decided to deploy a warship to Cyprus in a move to bolster defences in the Mediterranean after the attack there on the runway. And airstrikes have continued to batter sites in Lebanon and Iran. Extensive attacks aimed at the Iranian regime and Hezbollah have so far killed at least 787 people, according to Iranian officials. Meanwhile, a significant development has seen the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also approving sending ground troops over the Lebanese border. Staying with the war, Iran says it will set fire to any ships trying to cross the Hormuz Straits. This is a key shipping route connecting the Arabian Gulf with the rest of the world. We've been discussing it for days now. It means thousands of Kiwi containers brimmed with our products are sitting in limbo as a result of the war. Last year, we exported more than $3 billion worth of goods and services to the Middle East, so it is a key route, not only for our goods, but also 20% of the world's oil consumption that passes through the strait. Todd McClay is our Trade Minister and joins us live from Wellington this morning. Minister, good morning.
Ryan, good morning.
Good to have you on the program. Do you know how many of our containers have been caught up or affected? How many of our goods at this point? You had an update?
Yeah, no, so MFAT are talking directly to a lot of exporters at the moment. In fact, we've got them out on the road meeting and they've been on the phones yesterday. They don't have a clear picture, but it is a reasonable number. You're right, we have about $3 billion worth of trade broadly in that part of the world. The other thing that's important, Ryan, is, of course, is that a lot of the trade from Australia, New Zealand, and other parts of the world goes up through that strait to Europe and so on. And so I understand that already the shipping companies are working with our exporters and others to look at redirecting some of those ships so the goods can get to market. Does mean delays, though, as you've said.
Have you had an update? Have you had any figures on potential economic cost?
There was a report done last year by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that looked, as you just mentioned, worst case scenario. This was after the military exercises from Israel into and around Palestine, and it does show that a protracted event in the Middle East is going to have some effect upon New Zealand with oil prices and the potential for some form of inflation. But I do want to caution: it's very, very early days. We're into day 4 or 5 at the moment. The picture will become clearer, I think, for us as we see exactly how long this conflict might go on and the degree to which it's affecting the countries that we trade with the most in that part of the region.
Do you have you not got any numbers at all on, containers? I read a number yesterday about 4,000 containers with New Zealand goods in them.
Yeah. There's a range of views, figures we're seeing there. At any one time on the water, it varies quite a lot. Is the answer. So going directly into the Middle East, the main ports that we use there have been closed. Those ships, we understand, are sitting off. There's ports waiting to see when they may be able to get in. But the exact number, no, of containers, we don't have the clearest picture yet.
You spend a lot of time in the region. Can you believe how hard Iran is hit, particularly like the UAE? I mean, in the first 24 hours, apparently more missiles and drones went there than Israel.
It is very, very concerning. And you're right, it's not that long ago. I was talking with you very late at night when I was in Saudi Arabia. These are countries in the Middle East that have viewed Iran as being friendly. They've worked closely with them. They've traded with them. They've had borders where people can cross backwards and forwards. It is very concerning. We're seeing the degree of escalation. And I think we condemn very strongly. It is very indiscriminate. Iran attacking, some of their neighbors and close friends. My understanding is that a lot of the attacks that have been put in there, these countries have very good defence mechanisms. They are holding much of it off, but it is not only surprising, it's concerning and should not be happening.
Did the Kiwis need to get out of the Gulf states?
Well, we've been providing as much information as we can, both directly here through social media and announcements, and also, our embassies on the ground. We've been saying to them that they should keep safe. The advice is to stay in place at the moment. Listen very closely to the services of the country that they're in. At the moment, all airspace is completely closed, I understand it, but we are focused on the 7,000 to 9,000 Kiwis that live in that part of the world, and making sure that, one, they can be supported, and two, providing as much information from New Zealand to them as we can.
Are you across the incoming as well? Oil supplies, do we have enough? Should we be worried about price hikes? Same with fertiliser?
Well, you would see a few years ago we made changes to the amount of oil that must be stored in New Zealand. We increased that so that
but it's like 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, but it's also gone up. We don't get any oil that's used in New Zealand from the Middle East, although a lot of it is routed through there.
Yes.
And so the conflict itself directly doesn't impact upon New Zealand, but what could have is some of the delays. But the reason, although it's only a few weeks, it's extra supply, which means that that we have contingencies in place in New Zealand.
The FTA, is Labor going to sign on with this week?
Well, so we had a very good meeting 2 weeks ago, the last week of Parliament. Chris Hipkins and Damon O'Connor, their trade spokesman, met with them in my office, had officials there. We worked through a lot of the detail of what they were concerned about. It was very, very constructive. There's one or two things I want to come back to them on, and so we said we would talk again this week. Damon O'Connor actually is off overseas at the moment, and so we'll work through that, but we're pretty close to getting a formal response back to them. This won't be done by letter backwards and forwards. It actually will be through conversation. So, right, it's in a very good place, but there's still a couple of small questions we want to work through with them.
And is that questions that you have about what they've come back to you on, rather than the other way around?
No. So you have seen the letter from Chris Hipkins to the Prime Minister. It just comes to one or two more details. Some of the things they're asking, some of the things that they were saying they would like to see, we're already working on. Well, a little bit of work around some of the inspectors and so on we have in the labour market. Work was already underway to look at how we might bolster that. Some of that will be a budget process. So we're just working through a little bit of that so we can give a bit more information. But I would say that the conversation was very constructive on both sides. Actually, I think there's recognition that a trade deal with India is good for New Zealand. It's not unreasonable they want to know exactly how it works, because some of these trade arrangements can be quite technical. I don't see any obstacles in what they are talking about to us that would get in the way of their support.
All right. Sounds like we'll get that done soon. Just finally, have you had any more clarification from the White House on the tariffs? Do we have 15 plus 15, 15 plus 10, or just 15?
So I want to caution and say I reckon this is going to keep changing a lot. We are down to 10% plus MFN. So whatever our tariff rate was before the President first put tariffs on, we're back to 10% from 15%, except you'll remember a short while ago, beef and kiwi and other things dropped back to the equivalent of zero. That has remained the same. So anybody that was facing 15% is now at 10%.
It's just bizarre, isn't it?
and I tell you, I think it's going to change again and again and again. And
when did you get that? When did you get that clarification?
Came some days after the court case, but it comes out very, very slowly. Our officials are engaging quite a lot with them to get clarity on this. But I think, again, there's a number of investigations starting. I suspect they're going to do an investigation into lamb for whatever reason. They don't produce a lot of lamb. I guess, again, they don't have enough lamb there for the amount they want to consume. We could see a movement away from the 10% upwards that way. So we continue to engage, but I think the description of it is ongoing uncertainty.
That's worrying because we've seen a lot of red meat up to America, number one export market for it now. So they've indicated they will open an investigation into New Zealand lamb.
It's not New Zealand lamb, it's lamb from anywhere in the world. I think probably what we're going to see is that the Supreme Court has said that the President didn't use the right legal base. We already know that he's done a number of other investigations using other pieces of law, steel, for instance, perhaps pharmaceuticals. He did it on wood a while ago. We suspect there's one likely to be coming on lamb. It's not all red meat, though. On beef, of course, it's dropped back to the equivalent of 0 or 0 plus what we were before. And so it's I was going to say a moving feast. I don't want to make light of it.
What's lamb worth?
It's not a significant part of our export there, but it has been growing, and it's a very, very they pay a very good price for it.
Do we fight back? Are we prepared to fight back?
So in the case of wood, as an example, again, it's not a big export there, although for some of our processes it's important. It's an investigation they do, and we submit and we go and make our case and talk about it, as we did with kiwi fruit and beef, and have the opportunity to moderate that. But it's generally a long process. It can take up to 12 months to go through. In the meantime, our traders will keep selling high-quality lamb for Americans to buy, because Americans don't produce enough lamb for the amount they want to eat.
All right. Appreciate your time this morning. Todd McClay, Trade Minister, with us live from Wellington.